All of the Real Talk interviews are now available in one place, categorised into topics. Some of them even have bonus downloads, so jump on over to our site and check them out. The link is in the description below.
Yeah, I started a digital agency, joined a digital agency 2010, which we built and sold. And then I helped set up another one, and we formed Connector in 2017, which is more of a coaching business for small businesses, just focusing on marketing.
Right.
Which has sort of evolved into general business coaching as well as marketing, because we've found that a lot of small businesses that we've dealt with really struggled to get the fundamentals of businesses as well, because they're great practitioners, just struggled around some of the business fundamentals.
Frame on things, right? Great technicians,
Yep.
but the encompassing the whole thing as a business wasn't working for them, and yeah, we can all relate to that on some levels. Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I know you've been doing a lot of content yourself since all of this blew up in the last few weeks, and I've jumped on a couple of your lives, and they've been really awesome. So it's really awesome to have you along on ours today.
Yeah, I think the important thing right now is we've got to share as much knowledge as we possibly can. There are a lot of people out there that are bloody nervous. There's a bit of confusion out there. We've just come through this whole shock phase. And right now, we're just waiting a little bit of clarity from the government around when things can be fired back up again.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing for everyone involved. Like, when can we get out of our houses and get back to work? A friend of mine's actually been tracking the cases, and it looks like it's kind of stabilized day by day now. So hopefully, they've made the right call and keeping people home is, going to mean that we can get back to work sooner, right?
Yeah, look, I think they've definitely done the right thing. I think they've also done a few little things wrong, but for the right reasons. But when you're dealing with something of this magnitude, you're never going to get it all right all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sunil and I said the other day, regardless of your, your political persuasions or whatever, at the end of the day, we're fortunate enough to have someone making some decisions, whether you agree with them or not. At least someone's there making decisions. Because there are countries that obviously haven't had those decisions made, have ended up far worse than we're gonna fare. Hey, so
I was just about to say, I tend to sit on the fence politically.
Yep.
Hang on a sec. The joys of technology and the alarm going.
Oh, nice.
For this interview.
Oh, there you go. Reminding you got to come on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, now you're back.
So I do tend to sit on the fence politically, but one of the big things that I do think is that we probably couldn't have a better leader on a sort of like an empathetic basis. She's a great communicator. She gets human nature. And the last thing we needed in the last couple of years was somebody that was stoic and lacked emotion and lacked empathy.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, enough with politics.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's Sunday, man. We're going to keep this as lighthearted as possible and have a bit of fun. But when we spoke the other day, you were banging on about your 3Ps and can we just expand that before we sort of dig too deep into the detail, just for the people who are listening, what the message you're really trying to get across is at the moment?
Sure. I think one of the big challenges that so many businesses have got at the moment is, how the hell am I going to survive? And the saying is out there all over the place: survive and thrive. All right. So the big question is, can we get through this? If we can, what is my business going to look like? And what sort of things do I have to be doing now to make sure that we can survive this thing? And the government handout, the bailout that everyone's sort of been sticking their hand up for is great. But for some businesses, it could be a bit of a poison chalice. And so, there's really a few things that you need to look at, and you've got them up on the wall, thankfully. You got the protect, the promote, and the pivot.
Love it. Yep.
And so the very, very first thing in any time of crisis that you need to look at is how do I protect my business? So whether that's through the legal things, I know Brent Long's been giving some great advice
Yeah.
lately in and around commercial leases and things like that. Your overheads, going through line by line, and your overheads, making sure that you strip out all of the fat that you've got there. We did it ourselves, and it's actually an amazing exercise to go through. And you go, shit, am I still paying for that?
Yeah.
And then there's that scary one where the people are really important, but sometimes you're better to have a slightly slimmer ship to ride the turbulent seas than to founder in the big seas when you're just overladen with resource that you don't need. And so sometimes we have to make that call, and we have to make it early to shed a couple of headcount, which fucking sucks. But
Tough one.
you got to make that decision, because you got to have that money in the bank to basically make sure that you can ride this through and be in a position to start to grow again.
It's kind of that message that.
So one of the big.
Gone. Yeah, that was kind of the message that we went
Yeah.
through the last couple of days. Obviously we had from an accounting perspective, and then we had Jung sort of handling those critical conversations.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we've got Karen McDonald doing a big piece on HR, so getting that piece right. So again, I just can't help but make sure that people are really thinking about those decisions, right?
Yeah, and as much as we love our people, sometimes you're better to have a business that you can grow and for them to come back into than everybody sinks, and then you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I've just got to get a job, and then everybody loses. Yeah. So the other thing that we're definitely advising all of our clients to do right now is do a risk and an opportunity register. So go through every single one of your clients, and if you haven't done it since we've been in lockdown, man, get off your ass and do it today, right? Go through every single client that you've got. Do a sliding scale 1 to 10, or sorry, 1 to 5. 1 is low risk, so they're still surviving, they're okay. They've indicated that they're going to pay the bills. You've probably, hopefully, just done your invoicing, and you've been speaking to them, and they're saying, look, don't worry, we've got you covered. Through to 5 is high risk. They could be hospitality, tourism, car hire, all those businesses that have just got zero cash flow right now and maybe don't have a business. And then you flip that around and say, well, where's the opportunity? Go through all of those clients again and say, well, okay, well, let's rate them 1 to 5 on that scale. Where are they in regards to opportunity? And so you end up with that little Venn diagram of high risk, low opportunity versus the high opportunity, low risk. And that's where you need to be focusing the majority of your time in supporting and doing things. And yeah, where, we've got some of our clients have got no money and high risk, but massive opportunity. And we're still continuing to support them. We've said we're going to give them a retainer holiday. So we're not expecting any payment off them over the next probably 2 to 3 months. And we're just going to ride it out for them and see where they go. And
yeah, that's
huge, we know that if they do get through it, then that generosity is going to be repaid tenfold, because they'll never leave.
And they've got the high opportunity. Yeah, I get it.
So really, it's that whole protect pieces. You need to look after your business, and first and foremost, your existing client base. You need to protect that cash flow. You need to protect that revenue stream before you even think about pivoting and all those other pieces. Shore up that week to week, month to month cash flow that you've got. That gives you a starting base that you can make all of those decisions about your business. Can I afford to keep these staff on?
I was going to say,
yes,
it gives you that kind of real ability to look and really reset your budgets, reset your thinking for a changed economic, whatever we're in, moving forward, right?
Yeah, and straight up, one of my businesses on the agency side, year on year, down about 80%. I've got an Airbnb. No, I've got one booking for the rest of the year, and that's probably going to fall over. Thankfully, both of them, the way that we've structured them, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
The Airbnb, we've made enough money over the last 18 months that there's enough to keep it going for 10 months worth of overheads with no bookings. So we're quite comfortable and confident with that. And that's unfortunately an area where a lot of small businesses in New Zealand, we do let ourselves down as we don't have that war chest. We don't have that magical number where we say, hey, look, we've got to have 3 months of cash flow. If we don't have 3 months of cash in the bank,
Hmm.
then we're going to be putting ourselves at risk. So shoring up some of that cash flow and ensuring that you're looking after those clients, do more for less if you have to.
Yeah, that was that big message that Jamie gave us the other day. Just cash is king. Do whatever you
Yeah.
got to do to get some cash in, and yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Then there's the pivot. Um, so many businesses are looking for that pivot right now. Now, the important thing about the pivot is it's a pivot. It's not a completely new business,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so it's looking at, and it's another good thing when you go through that exercise of those threats and opportunities. When you look at those businesses that you've got opportunities with, sometimes you identify the opportunities that you either thought were a really, really great idea, but you didn't have time to pursue,
Mm.
or they were a little bit left field and they weren't part of our core. Now, all of a sudden, those opportunities become real opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. And
And then you
and
can look
there's
for,
there's now time for you to kind of put into that too, because you're not, like I said the other day, you're not out doing the delivery side of your business that you'd normally be doing.
hmm yep. And so, for example, I've got two people that I work with. Both of them, funnily enough, are in the whole uniform game. So they do school uniforms, sports uniforms, things like that. They focus. The revenue stream is heavily, heavily weighted towards sports events
Mm.
and things like that. And the reality is they get most of their stuff out of China. They bring it into the country. So they're an import distribution business. So when you flip that around, it's actually they're in logistics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what have they done? Thankfully, they've gone, well, we've got a great relationship with our people sourcing product in China. What do people need now? We're a logistics business. They've gone to their networks and said, great, anything that you potentially want, we can probably get our hands on. And now they're coming back out with offers of protective masks and equipment and medical
Oh,
gear and
good.
things like that
Oh,
that they
good.
can source for their network. And then that's expanding into other areas. So it's a big departure from what their core of their business is, but it's more of a temporary pivot using their existing resource
Hmm. Hmm.
to fulfill a need that's there today and keep that cash flow going while the event scene waits really to find out what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. The events business
So
is one
there is,
that's, who knows right now.
yeah, lots and lots of little things in our industry, in the coaching and the training industry. Even you looking at universities, that pivot from going from face to face to online coaching. We've been doing it for 3 years. 80% of our client meetings have been online, and our clients actually like it better because we can record these
Yeah.
and they can refer back to them later on, things like that. So what is it that you do that you can do differently that'll keep continuity in your business, over deliver value for your clients, and
Mm.
go from there.
Mm. And so, on the promote point, what are you suggesting people do right now?
It's a tough one. We're getting to that point where, in that first week or so, everyone, including myself, was saying, now's not the time to sell. Now's not the
Mm.
time to sell. You need to be adding value, giving support,
100%. Yeah.
all of that sort of time. But we're getting through that point now where the shock is wearing off. We're getting a little bit of stability and normality in our lives, even though it's a completely different situation. um, People are developing routines and normality.
Hmm.
So they're starting to look for other things that they can be doing. So now is the time that you can put offers of support out, not necessarily the hard sell, unless you've got something that people desperately need in these times. I mean, ourselves, we have created what we call our Corona support packages, where we have
Hmm.
really taken a lot of our programs and made them, wrap them up so that they're a lot more affordable and a lot less time commitment for businesses. We're doing a pay what you can afford piece for certain businesses that can qualify
Oh, that's cool.
versus our traditional retainers. We're giving away the LinkedIn training program they've got for $1. So you can still promote the services that you do, but it's how you wrap it up and how you package it. And quite simply, us giving away that LinkedIn training program is as much lead generation as it is goodwill.
Right.
Let's be blunt
Yeah.
about this. We're all in business where I'm absolutely happy to, as a $500 program, and I said anyone can have it for $1. But in essence, what happens then is there's a big uptake on it. People are then, in essence, paying
Yeah.
to get onto our database
Yeah. That's good. That's
for
good.
something that we've created 2 years ago that's made us a lot of money, and it could still continue because LinkedIn is an incredible resource that people need to utilize even more in this day and age where we've got physical distancing and social separation.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
So it's getting to the point now where you can be selective around what you promote, but
Hmm.
you need to be really, really clear around your messaging. Don't do the whole selling on scarcity and fear. Those are the sort of like the
Government's doing that well enough for
1990s.
us.
Oh, I know, but I think if two things: always sell on value, always prove the value that you can offer. So if you've got testimonials or things like that, now's the time to you know, dig deep and go and ask those clients that you've been working with for all of these times, even if you've lost them because they've got no business, get that testimony, get that video testimonial, get that white paper where you've got time to do the research on the impact that you've had on their business. If you're in a retail environment, go through that database and get people to go and do those Google reviews.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Now more than ever, people are
Yeah.
actually willing to do those
A lot of
make
people
those
sitting around got
gestures
nothing
of
to do,
goodwill.
right? Sitting
Yep.
around at home, and it's the perfect time.
Hmm.
Hey, dude, look, hey, we dealt with you 6 months ago, man. I know you really enjoyed the experience. Look, could you got 5 minutes to give us a Facebook review,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And be upfront about it and say, we're doing this because we know we need to invest time in our business now, because if we don't, we're going to really struggle to get through this.
Or
And
to get back.
if you got it, yeah, if you got any value out of the service that we gave you, we'd love it if you could share a few kind words. And
Perfect.
I think
Yeah,
that
awesome
that
language.
wording is
Yeah.
really clever, because if you ask for a review, then people have a little bit of license to go one way or another.
It becomes a little bit salesy, doesn't it, when it's
Yeah.
when you ask for
Hmm.
a review or a
Yeah.
testimonial. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you turn around and you say, hey, look, if you've got a few kind words that you'd like to share about the experience that you had with us, I'd love it if you could, click on this link and share them on Google or Facebook.
And I bet you find you get a much more personalized, one-to-one type uh, response that way.
Yep. Yeah. So now's the housekeeping time. Now, I won't say the last thing, um, but we need to be focusing on a couple of things right now. Is number one, it's up here,
Mm.
our mental state.
Self-care,
There
right?
is self-care is massive. I've I was reluctant to call it, but now that I've said it a few times, the more I believe it. Is sadly, I think the biggest killer from this whole thing is not going to be the coronavirus. It's going to be suicide from depression from people that think that they've got nowhere else. And so, first and foremost, we need to be looking after ourselves and looking after those people
Mm.
around us that we love. Then we
Yeah.
need to be thinking about our business.
Sadly, I saw a post at our group yesterday that someone had a friend that literally done that. It was a
Mm.
bit of a reality check for me, what I'm doing here right now and just doing everything I can to help and what have you. But to see that, it was pretty made made me realize that this is a very real situation that's happening out there, and business owners out there are going through some fucking tough times. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So self-care and care for those around you is the number one thing that we need to be focusing on, which is why I do agree with the government lockdown on this.
Hmm.
Um, but we need to be positioning and preparing our businesses for what do we call it? I'm calling it re-entry when we come down into level 3. And thanks to Adrian Pickstock, who's another genius and an amazing business coach, smooth landings when we get into level 2 and below.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if you
cool.
haven't got a plan now, then start making one, and don't think about time. Think about phase. Think about the level that we're going to be in as a business, as a community, as a nation. What happens when we come out of level 4 and it's level 3?
Yeah.
What sort of things should I be doing and getting myself prepared for, so that I've got my messaging right, I've got my social media right, I've got the emails that I'm going to be sending out to all my potential clients right.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got that ready now and you can press the button, then you're going to be 2 steps ahead of your competition.
Yeah, I like that. That's the strategic piece has been such a theme that's come up with everyone that I've interviewed is really come back to it. You know, use your time to be strategic so that when you go back to work, when you go back to selling widgets, whatever it is you do, you're actually ready for the new environment and you're prepared to get out and grind. So
Yep.
it's just incredible to hear that same thing echoed throughout each person that we jump on with here.
Yeah, and even talking to people like, I don't know if you've had them on, but just people like Robert Bull, who is really, really great in this whole area of lean. Okay, so what are some different ways that we can operate? I've had to streamline the business. I've lost a few headcount, and we're going to make do. Working with people like that can let you work with your team and figure out the processes that you can follow to do a better job with less people or less resource, is going to be critical to really maximize the opportunities when you come out of this. Because the biggest fear I've got is that we'll chop everything down so heavily
We won't be able to scale
that
back
when we
up.
do start firing up again, we're just going to burn ourselves out.
All of the Real Talk interviews are now available in one place, categorised into topics. Some of them even have bonus downloads, so jump on over to our site and check them out. The link is in the description below.